Bruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Pei Amud Beis, starting Daf Pei Amud Aleph, 6 lines from the bottom. The Gemara continues bringing cases of communal tuma in regards to bringing the carbon Pesach. Says the Gemara, Itmar hayurubon tmei mesim imuyuton zovin. If you have the majority of the tzibur are tamei meis, and a minority are zovin. Now, when it comes to tmei mesim, the majority, they themselves can bring the carbon Pesach in a state of tuma in the Pesach Rishon. The zovin, however, cannot bring the carbon Pesach together with them. What about regards to the Pesach Sheni? Gemara brings a machlokes. Rav Huna mar ein tashlumin la Pesach haba betuma. Rav Huna is of the opinion that the zovin will not bring a Korban Pesach Sheni either. Rav Ade bar Ahava omar yesh tashlumin Pesach haba betuma. Whereas Rav Ade bar Ahava says there is indeed the compensation for those who are zovin to bring a Korban Pesach Sheni, because even though the Korban Pesach Rishon was only brought by those who were Tmein, nonetheless, the Zavin can be bringing their Korban Pesach Sheni when they become Tahor. Neima behakim. The Gemara wants to suggest the following is the machlokes. Demand da'omer ein tashlumin lepesach haba betuma kesavar tuma dechuya hi betzibur. The first man, da'omer Rav Huna, who says ein tashlum lepesach haba betuma, since the Pesach Rishon was brought by Tmei Mesim, therefore, the Zavin cannot bring their Korban Pesach Sheni. The Gemara is suggesting because they hold, Rav Huna holds, because Tuma dechuya hi betzibur. Uman da'omer yesh tashlumim Pesach haba betuma kesovar Tuma hutra betzibur. Whereas the second opinion, Rav Ade bar Ahava, who says there is yes tashlumin le Pesach haba betuma, holds that because the Tuma is hutra betzibur. Namely, the machlokes is that according to the first man, the Omer of Huna, the reason why it's not going to be valid is because since it's only dechuya, therefore those tmei mesim have a state of dechuya, whereby they have the same status as tuma. Since they're tmeim bringing the Korban Pesach, they don't have the ability to allow the zalvin to then make the tashlumin in Korban Pesach Sheni. Whereas Rav Ade bar Ahava says, since the tuma is hutra betzibur, their state of tuma, the tmei mesim, when they brought the carbon Pesach in Pesach Rishon, that was enough to have it like a status of being tahirin, because tuma is hutra betzibur, whereby the zavin can yes bring the tashlumin in Pesach Sheni. Amri, the Gemara says, Loi, that's not the machlokes, the kuli alma tuma dechuya betzibur, where everybody holds that the tuma was dechuya betzibur, and therefore, what is the machlokes? Says the Gemara, pligi. In this, they are arguing. Mar sovar, watav pei amud beis, tahara medachia, tuma lo medachia, umar sovar afilu tuma nami medachia. The man, the Omer, says that you could yes bring tashlumin for the zavin, holds because the tahara, or rather the opposite. The Mandomer says you cannot go ahead and allow them to tashlumin. That's Rav Huna, is because tahara is medachia, but tuhuma is not medachia. Dahainu, since it was tumei meis that brought the carbon in the first place, therefore they don't permit the carbon to be brought by those who are dachia, dahainu the zovin. Whereas Mar Savar afilu tuma nami medachia, because over here he's saying even though it's true tuma is dechuya betzibur, that's enough to allow the tashlumin to be made by the zavin in Pesach Sheni. Itma, the Gemara brings another case, how you shlish shlishison zavin shlishison taharin v'shlishison tmei mesim. When you have the entire tzibur is tamei, you have including the tzibur, there's shlish that is tamei meis, shlish that is tamei zavin, and shlish that are taharin. Omar Rabbi Mani bar Patish, oisan tamei meisim, Einon oisin les harishon les hasheni. The Tamei Mesim will not bring not the carbon rishon on Yudal ben Nisan, not carbon Pesach Sheni on Yudal be'iyar. Barishon lo avdi. They don't bring the carbon Pesach rishon because higdilu zavin al taharin, because the zavin are added to the taharin. Because since the zavin cannot be brought together with the Tamei Mesim, so therefore they're not eligible for the carbon Pesach Rishon, so they're combined with the carbon with the Taharin. The le'avdi betuma. So havle Tamei Mesim miuto le'avdi Rishon. Where it comes out that then the Tamei Mesim are only a miut, and we never allow a miut Tamei Mesim who are miut to be bringing a carbon Pesach on Yudal ben Nisan bar Rishon. Basheni le'avdi. They also don't bring a carbon Pesach Sheni because nitzarfu zavin im Tamei Mesim. The la'avdi barishon havlu ruba. Then we will then combine the zavin with the Tamei Mesim. Then it comes out to be a majority. So those zavin who now become tahor, when it comes to iyar, they combine with the Tamei Mesim. They're a majority with the Tamei Mesim, and therefore ruba mitchu lepesach sheni. We never allow a majority of Tameim to bring a carbon Pesach sheni. So therefore it comes out that the Tamei Mesim do not bring neither the carbon rishon on Pesach Rishon, nor do they bring the carbon Pesach in Pesach Sheni. The Mishnah now brings that in certain situations when an individual's carbon Pesach is Tamei, the tzitz will be meratze. Now the tzitz is one of the vestments of the Kohen Gadol. It's worn on the forehead of the Kohen Gadol. It's a golden headband that says Kodesh La Hashem, and that brings a certain ritzui in states of tuma of the carbon. Gemara explains. Mishnah says, "HaPesach shenizrak domoy ve'achar kach noida shehu tamei." A carbon Pesach whose dam was thrown on the mizbeach, and afterwards it was known that it was tamei. Either the basar of the carbon Pesach was tamei, or the dam itself was tamei. Hatzitz meratze. The tzitz has the ability to meratze, and thereby the bailim of the carbon satisfied his requirement by bringing a carbon Pesach. He does not have to bring a Pesach Sheni in Iyar. Nitmar haguf, however, if the person, the bailim himself became tamei, ein hatzitz meratze, the tzitz will not work to meratze for such a carbon. He will have to bring a carbon Pesach Sheni. Because the Chum said, "Hanozir va'oise Pesach, hatzitz meratze al tumas hadam, ve'im meratze al tumas haguf." The tzitz has the power to meratze on the dam and huadin, the basar of the carbon that became tamei, but it does not have the ability to meratze on the guf of the bailim who became tamei. The Mishnah concludes, "Nitma tumas hatahoim." However, there's an exception. There's a kula when it comes to the tuma of tumas hatahoim. If there was, let's say, a kever not known to anybody, there was rubble that buried somebody, and that person, somebody else rather, came and became tamei as a result of that tumas hatahoim, then hatzitz is yes meratze. The Gemara makes a diuk from the Reisha. The reason is because the dam was sprinkled, was thrown on the mizbeach, and then it became known that the dam or the basar of the behema became tamei. Says the Gemara, but if it was the opposite order, then the tzitz would not be meratze. The hainu, if indeed the order was it was first known that the dam or the basar of the carbon was tamei, and then the dam was nizrak, then the tzitz will not meratze. Ask the Gemara Raminu. We have the following brisa that seems to contradict this. Al ma hatzitz meratze. Ask the brisa, what does the mitzitz come to meratze on? Al adam v'al basar v'al achelev shenitma bein b'shoigeg bein b'mezid bein be'oines bein be'rotzoin bein be'yochi bein be'tzipor. Here it's mashma from the brisa that afilu if the dam was nizrak b'mezid, it also will meratze. The tzitz will meratze. Answers the Gemara, no, the kavanah of the Braisa is not talking about that the Zrikas Hadam was b'mezid. Amar Avina, tu masoi bein b'shoiging b'mezid hurtza. Zrikasoi b'shoigeg hurtza b'mezid lahurtza. That which the Braisa meant, says Ravina, is talking about the tuma was bein b'shoiging b'mezid. But that the Zrikas Hadam, that was only b'shoigeg. And therefore it's not a contradiction to our Mishnah. Rav Shila, however, Rav Shila argues, and Rav Shila says, "Zrikasoi bein b'shoigeg bein b'mezid hurtza," that indeed by the zrikas hadam, even if it was b'mezid, it will also bring a ritzui, the tzitz. Tumasoi b'shoigeg hurtza b'mezid hurtza. However, the tuma, if that is done b'mezid, that will not allow the tzitz to memratze. The Gemara asks, Elohodik tani bein b'shoigeg bein b'mezid, that which it says in the Braisa, bein b'shoigeg bein b'mezid, hachi ka'amar. This is how you have to read the Braisa. Nitma b'shoigeg, if it became tamei b'shoigeg, v'zarkoi bein b'shoigeg bein b'mezid hurtza, and then the dam was nizrak. Then whether it was nizrak b'shoigeg or b'mezid, it will bring a ritzui the tzitz. And that which it says in the Mishnah, v'hodik tani dam shen nizrak v'achakach noida. It said in the Mishnah, the order is that the dam is nizrak, and then it became known. Taima de nizrak v'achakach noida. The only reason is that it's going to bring a ritzui l'chara is because it was nizrak and then noida. Aval noida v'achakach nizrak loy. So l'chara, that does not go together with what Rav Shila is teaching us. Gemara says no. Huadin dafilu noida v'achar nizrak. The Mishnah is talking about even if it was noida and then the dam was thrown on the mizbeach. Why does it say in the other order though? V'hai diktani nizrak v'achar noida mishum de boy lemisni seifa. Only in order to then emphasize the din in the seifa that states nitma haguf eina tzitz meratze. When a person, the bailim of the Korban Pesach becomes nitma, then the tzitz is not meratze, and there it doesn't make a distinction, even if it's going to be where the dam is first. It was whether it was noida first and then nizrak, or nizrak and then noida. Dafilu nizrak v'achar noida loy. Even in that case, it will not be meratze. Ketani reisha nami nizrak v'achar noida, and therefore the reisha taught the case of nizrak v'achar noida. But huadin, says Rav Shila, if it was nizrak, it was first thrown, and then afterwards, if it was noida, and then afterwards it was nizrak, that also would be also meratze. Again, the only reason why the Mishnah teaches the case in the Reisha as being nizrak, damoy, v'achakach, noida, is only because to emphasize the case in the Seifa. When the Seifa talks about a case where the bailim becomes nitma, there, even in such a scenario where it's nizrak, v'achakach, noida, then it will not meratze. But the Reisha, says Rav Shila, is even in the case where it was noida v'achakach nizrak.